And we are live. Welcome back to another bi-weekly episode of Off Centered. Registration looks good, surface is nice, corners are sharp, but not all there. The four horsemen of the apocalypse are back. Neo's friggin' with his camera. Neo, Steve, how we doing?
Yeah, so what was going on while I was away? Ham's in the chat talking about 69s and meat popsicles.
Oh, they were talking about it. Everybody else is freezing in the country, and I'm in the warm spot.
Oh, okay. That's what you're referencing then.
Look at that.
Yeah,
nice and handy. Is that actual gold foiling, like 24 karat gold, or is it just faux foil?
400 karat gold.
There's no such.
How we doing, guys? Well, actually, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and we're going to talk about why we're late. So Steve and I have a very quick announcement, and then we're going to move on from it.
Announcement? That sounds like a good thing.
What? Yeah. So my wife's grandmother passed away this morning. She's 93 years old. We had kind of an inkling that was going to happen within the next few weeks. We didn't think. I literally went and saw her last night and took the kids over there and everything. And this morning she had passed away. So sad, but lived a full life, and amazing lady. Steve also dealt with something. Steve, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, just real quick. My brother, who I've referenced on the channel a lot. My only brother, his wife passed away today. She was 43. It was expected, non-expected. So she had an illness called Huntington's disease, which a lot of people don't know about. It's just it's a disease where your brain deteriorates over time when you're young, and it starts when you're very young. So I mean, for the last couple of years, she's actually been in a hospital because of her mental state. Like, she doesn't know who she is and doesn't know her family members. But my brother still, stuck with her through it, and she passed today. Typically, when you start showing signs of this disease, you usually have about 15 to 20 years life expectancy after that point. So my brother and her did kind of know a time range because she started having these issues when she was a teenager. And it is hereditary. So it's like a thing that she was passed on. Her mother passed away from it, and she had it, and her brother also has it, but he's still living. I just feel mostly for my niece, because my niece's 12th birthday is tomorrow. So that's all I can really say about it right now.
All right. So we're men, and we're going to move on from this subject, but we wanted to make the quick announcement why we were late today. It was actually my fault, not Steve. Steve was here on time. So it's kind of a weird day where it happened for both of us in the same day. So kind of weird, but here we are. The show must go on. We're not going to go 90 minutes. We're going to go maybe like hour 10, hour 15. My wife actually just got home a little bit ago, so I got to go talk to her in a little bit. So, all right, guys, Fanatics Fest is back. Neo Cards and Comics, I think, predicted this. Pretty sure this was a prediction that came true, and it looks like it's a June event. How does everybody feel about it? Neo, we'll start with you since you already knew this was going to happen.
This is my video for tomorrow. I'm torn on what I want to do in regards to attending, because it's the same weekend as Heroes Con, so that poses a big problem for me personally. Yeah, we'll see. The tickets go on sale tomorrow, so I got to kind of make a quick decision here on what I want to do in regards to going or not.
Are tickets refundable?
Probably not. I would assume if they cancel the event, they probably are. But if you just decide not to go, no.
Boy, they better preface that right away. Otherwise, I think everybody's just sitting back on that one for a while.
Oh, but hold on a second. So you're saying, are you in a rush? Like, do you think that they're going to sell out or something, and you're worried about that, or what? Because I know that Michael Rubin said, hey, if you went, you get first dibs.
Yeah,
70,000 that went. Or do you think that they could sell 150,000 tickets? Like, what's the?
If I went, I would probably buy a VIP ticket again, just to see, not because I think I need one, but because I kind of want to see what
that was a bad experiment already.
What's that?
That was already a bad experiment.
I know, but for the content gods, I would need to do it again.
Rip
Ham,
another box.
did you hit the
Rip
bong?
another box.
I think Ham hit the bong before we came on.
Yeah.
You're a little bit too laughy and a
So-
little bit too smiley for me, Ham.
Oh, crap.
So you did mention
Heroes.
Heroes Con. Is Heroes Con the one that takes place in Charlotte?
Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned last live stream there's a Galaxy Con, right?
GalaxyCon travels around. Those are kind of all over the place.
Yeah,
But there was one coming up in that same area or same time frame.
One in
right?
Columbus this weekend.
the GalaxyCon in Raleigh, which is huge, is the same week every single year, like same exact dates as the national, which is really frustrating.
Oh, it
Like the
is.
Tampa
I'm
Comic
thinking
Con.
about going in March. They've got a GalaxyCon that's in Richmond, Virginia. So I'm thinking about heading
That's
up.
the one.
I'm thinking about going to that one. Yeah.
That's the one you were talking about.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for me to want to pass up. You know, I talk about this in my video tomorrow. Like, my heart wants to go to Heroes Con, but the content creator side of me is like, you should probably go to Fanatics Fest. And it's not like if I went to Fanatics Fest, I'm going to be like, oh God, I have to go to Fanatics Fest. Like, I'm going to have a good time. Whatever one I go to, regardless, I'm going to have FOMO for the other one. I already know it.
Yeah, it's true. I would like to go to Fanatics Fest. It's just, that's tough.
Yeah,
That's
I
tough.
know what Heroes Con is. I know how great that show is. I love going down there for that. It's super easy. It's super convenient. And quite frankly, it's way cheaper than
Yeah.
going to Fanatics Fest for a weekend. And once again, personally, I know I'm going to be back in New York City in late October for New York Comic Con. So I already have one trip to New York in 2025. I don't really know that I need to go there twice in a year for long weekends. So,
I'll be in New York City next Wednesday.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm just going up there to mess it because New York City's driving not too far from me. It's a couple hours drive, but we're going up there to, we go every couple years near Christmas. We're just driving up for the afternoon and going to do some stuff and come home. Going to go around, Rockefeller Center. I want to go to Little Italy and eat pizza at Lombardi's, and I kind of want to get a glance at the Statue of Liberty. Just a couple things. We go, like I said, every couple of years, but we typically do something different. Like last time we went to Central Park and went to the zoo and things there. But we always go up around Christmas time because everything's always set up for Christmas. So me and my wife and a couple of my friends, we're just going to ride up for the day. Come home.
hot take. I thought Lombardi's is very overrated. We ate there last time we were there.
Yeah, I mean, it would seem overrated if you really have high expectations, which you're meant to have high expectations, I guess. It's supposed to be the first pizzeria in the United States and stuff. So, but even if you look at the Google reviews, they're like a 4.1, and you see pizza reviews all the time higher than that. So I guess it's more of the feel of being there. I'd rather be in Little Italy. I'm going to go to Chinatown too. So
When
Yeah,
you look up a
there's
review,
3 other places I would go to for pizza in New York before I went to Lombardi's.
There's a
When
lot of
you
good
look-
pizza in New
yeah,
York.
when you look up a review, how much does that skew what you're going to think of it before you eat it?
what's that?
Like a review, if you see like a 4.5 or higher on some place and you go there and you're like, this isn't a 4.5. Did you already get manipulated prior to going?
Well,
into
yeah,
this?
and it's all a matter of opinion, and sometimes it doesn't even have anything to do with the food. Like sometimes
Right.
you get a bad review because you got bad service.
Well,
That
that's
doesn't
all
mean
the
your food-
Google reviews.
your food could have been amazing, but you had bad service, or you had to
Yeah.
wait 30 minutes, or
the box came in ripped.
or
Love the
something.
product.
Yeah, so
1 star.
I don't go by Google reviews unless they're like really, really bad. I'll avoid a place if it's like 3 or an under, but I won't go to a place just because it says 5, or avoid a place because it says 4. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like a place like that is set up to fail if it's the first. Yeah, if it's the first pizza place.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean, the pizza's good. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's like bad pizza. There's just way better pizza in New York City.
Yeah, there's good.
That's
You can get good
pizza.
pizza anywhere in New York. I mean,
you know what? A bomb ass place. I just sounded like my 12-year-old. Vezos. Vezos in New York. Go to Vezos. Just trust me. Go to Vezos. I believe
It's
there's
much
a few
Barstool.
locations. Yeah,
On pizza, do you
Vezos.
prefer a fresh pizza out of the oven or a reheat?
What are you talking about, Ham?
Okay, I know what he's talking about. I like when
Dustin, step outside, buddy.
what Well, no, I like when you go to a pizza place and they have the large pizzas in the windows that they cook,
Yep.
and then you order by slice instead of a
And
whole
they
pie,
throw it
right?
back in the
And
oven.
they
I
throw
get
it
that
back into the
extra
oven. It
crispy.
gets that layer of crispiness
Oh
on the
yeah,
bottom.
see, you're talking.
Like,
I mean,
like
that's
in
why I'm
Atlantic,
looking at
like in
square
Atlantic
here.
City when we went to
Yeah,
Oh, Christ.
one life.
Atlantic City pizza.
One
when we
life.
went to Atlantic City when we went to what was it
Oh
called?
man.
Home Slice. That's what it was called.
Go to Quality Italian. Make reservations. It's a nice place to eat dinner. Get the lobster ravioli or the chicken parm pizza.
I love lobster.
Go to
My wife and I
Bezos.
go there every time.
By
we
the
go
way,
to
hello
New York.
Shelby. I just say hi to Shelby.
Who's talking like a WWE heel?
I don't know. All right, so
Molly
let's
Riney?
move on. Let's move on to card
Yeah,
stuff. So
let's go.
Neo talked to Nat Turner yesterday. I watched it on 1.5.
At a radio station?
I agree. I agree with you, Rob. I think that the whole PSA offer thing is going to be a big deal. Once they get it all rolling. Now, when they first start off, it won't be, but in 5 years, it's going to be a really big deal. Probably
I
less,
think
I think
what
by
we're doing
next
is-
year it's a big deal.
2
yeah,
years.
I think it's
2
I think it's
years.
a big year. No. I think it's a big deal
Nah.
right away for people that are looking for specific things and you get to undercut the market possibly. No, hell no. People are going to be all over that.
I'm thinking more just from an efficiency standpoint. I don't think they're going to roll it out and it's going to be this perfect, efficient thing. I think it's going to take 12, 18 months, and then it's going to be this like glorious little thing they've got going over there.
Now, Rob, when you were talking to him, when something like that's coming out, let's say somebody's grading a card, like he used to Stockton as an example, is there a way for somebody that can just say, I don't want anybody to know this was graded?
He said that they would, like, they haven't fully fleshed that stuff out yet. He said that they would probably come up with some sort of method that, like, when you submit the card, you could check mark a box to be like, I don't want anyone to know about this, and I don't want to receive offers.
Except for him, because if somebody's grading that Stockton, I'm sure that
yeah, well, that's a little
not
different.
available.
I think it's not just the PSA offers too. I think the other big deal is the whole I want to get my card graded while it's already there for authenticity guarantee is a massive deal too. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's
to
certain
be able to, well, and it goes one step further than that. It's not just for authenticity guarantee. The other thing that he said is that you could basically, when you essentially where it's going to end up is any raw card on eBay that you buy, whether it's going for AG or not, you'll have basically the ability at checkout to check mark a box and say send the PSA and grade it.
Yeah.
Well, what'll be interesting too is assuming, I guess, if there's not a toggle button that turns off, like, hey, I don't want the public to know that this is being graded. I mean, think about all the one of ones and all the different things out there where you're like, people are gonna have saved searches. They're gonna have PSA saved searches there, and that stuff's gonna be like, oh shit, this thing is out there. It's at grading. I found it.
Remember, there's no way to completely hide it because even if you check mark that box, it still shows up on the pop report.
Pop report, yeah. But it takes a minute longer.
Yeah.
There's no way to completely hide that a one of one's been graded. It's impossible because it's going to end up on the PSA.
But there's just no way for you to get notified when something hits the pop report.
Correct. You would have to just which a lot of those guys that are super crazy about that stuff are checking the pop reports like
all day long,
daily, weekly, monthly.
But it's kind of nice because right now what everyone does basically is you got your save searches on eBay and you're just kind of assuming that like a lot of these cards are going to hit eBay and a lot of them don't. A lot of them go somewhere else or they never go or like. And granted, eBay's a huge marketplace. Number one, a lot of stuff does pop up there, but when you get into really niche stuff, really rare stuff, I mean, the fact that PSA is going to have the ability basically to search its inventory eventually is pretty incredible.
Well, it's like he said too in the interview, like they get 60,000 cards a day. He's like, that's basically a national a day walking through the door, like every single day. Like that's crazy when you think about it. And then like when we were talking and you start just even talking about it and you could just spin it in all these different directions. Like the idea that I had about, could this turn into something that becomes public? Like I want this card in this grade or higher. And maybe that card hasn't even been submitted yet, but there's like a way that you could see that database. And maybe I'm sitting at home and I have that card sitting here. And I'm like, oh crap, someone's willing to pay like $400 for this in a PSA 9 or better. Like, let me send this in and maybe I'll be able to instantly sell it. I don't know. There's just a lot of different angles at that thing.
I'm surprised there's not like a straight up bounty page where you can just go and look for people willing to pay over the last price of something just to have something. And it's just like,
I'm sure that probably
a
exists
whale
for
for 'em.
super niche stuff, but to just have something like that that immediately has access to that much inventory and that much eyeballs and all the back end systems and everything
Well,
would be
just like one of the guys was asking
crazy.
here in the chat somewhere, was asking about the debut patch on how to. Is anybody keeping track of what's been pulled? Because I know in the past, sometimes with
I think
big
there's
cards,
a couple. I think there's a couple different things floating around of people keeping track.
but that would be something like a Jeff Wilson or something could have on the page on the site or something to draw traffic for people to constantly look for updates. Like that's valuable to people that are playing this game and wanting to know if maybe the one they're trying to get has been pulled yet. I mean, obviously, once we see the Paul Skeens hit, after that, what's really left from the top rookies? I think almost all of them have now been pulled.
I think there's still a handful of them out there still.
That's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know the Cam Nero was hit, so like that's out, and the other ones have already been hit. So it's like I'm really trying to figure out what's left outside the Skeens right now. That's like truly valuable. Ellie's been hit.
Jim Arrange is saying he's already sold stuff through PSA offers for pretty strong prices.
Yeah, I got quite a few DMs of like after I did the initial PSA offers video, there was quite a few comments on that video and quite a few DMs that I got of people were like, yeah, like some of them suck, but like a lot of them are actually pretty good when you consider, because the PSA offers is after fees like that. You're just getting whatever that offer is straight up. And a lot of people were saying they were getting like 80% plus offers, 80 to 90% offers on cards. And that's like as good as you're going to get selling it yourself on eBay. So like, why not just click the button and be done with it? Even if you're taking like, I don't know, 80% instead of the 85 that you could have got selling it yourself, to not have to deal with anything, like I'd sacrifice 5% to just click
I
a button.
I do think that
have it
has a
done.
specific niche of people that are going to definitely like and enjoy that. Both sides, people that are, because I think most of these people that are buying that type of stuff are the guys that are doing the repacks, the guys doing the whatnots and things like that, because they're targeting specific cards.
Nat said the buyer list is only like 8 or 9, I think 8 to 10 people. Like it's not as of right now, it's not that many people actually that are on that like preferred buyer network or whatever it is.
Yeah, I saw this too, and I was kind of thinking like, what? This wasn't like the whole like, can people see a picture of the card when making the offer? It's like I would expect that to be the case, but yeah, I understand though. There's probably, it takes time. You got to grade it, then you got to upload the photos, then you got to be able to share that. Do they want it shared? All that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, they don't, like, because they're just submitting the way that I understand it is, say someone wants to buy a Lucas Silver PSA 10 Prism, like one of the repack buyers wants that card. They just basically say, I want a Lucas Silver PSA 10 Prism, and I'm willing to pay, I don't know what those go for now. Let's just call it $900. Anytime a Lucas Silver pops, I think that offer is just automatically going out, where they just basically are buying the card sight unseen. But I don't know that a repacker cares if it's a 10 that's maybe slightly off-centered, but everything else is good. You know what I mean?
Buying the slab, not the card. What's up with the Hurley shirt, Steve? Bush Leaguers asks.
It's just
his workout shirt.
It's just a regular branded shirt, Bush Leaguers. What happened to SGCP? Dude, after I haven't seen him do an interview unless I missed it somewhere. Granted, I don't watch tons of YouTube content for cards these days, but I haven't seen him do an interview. I've seen him do his stuff, like his announcement stuff. Not seen him do an interview since the sale.
I mean, they don't really have. I mean, I'll talk to Pete anytime, but do they have? They haven't really done anything to have an interview.
Ooh, shots fired. You don't have to do anything. I mean, you could just like come on and hang out and talk and hey, what's new?
Yeah, but usually, I mean, typically you're going to get requests for interviews on that because like the company's doing something. You know what I mean? Like there's like a talking point around it versus just like, oh, so you guys are still grading a bunch of cards down there, huh?
Yeah, but with PSA now, the parent company of SGC are they doing any kind of marketing? Are they having any separate people talk out about SGC? I know they said they were going to keep it completely separate.
They've run a couple specials and stuff. That's about it. I mean, I asked Matt about that towards the tail end of the interview, like about that whole acquisition, and he, I mean, basically flat out said it was because they wanted the graders.
Yeah, but because I was about to say, because it doesn't feel like there's a face of that company right now. Like you guys
I
are
mean,
saying, the
Peter's
lack of
definitely still the face of SGC. That's not even
Well,
close.
I know, but he used to be out. I mean, he used to be very visible.
Yeah, now he's a shadow.
I just think they're doing their thing. Like they're
Well, do
Ham's
you
always
think?
got to
Do
drop
you
in with
think?
something crazy.
But I feel like when they were doing their thing, he was very visible. You don't think that maybe PSA has scaled it back? Hey, do your thing, but kind of stay out of our light.
go back up to that eBay comment real quick, Dustin. I want to talk about that for a second.
I don't think that they would tell Pete to chill or not to go on interviews. I'd be surprised, but maybe he just doesn't like what Rob said. Maybe he just doesn't have like a good reason to. Like, what does he gain from it? Maybe nothing. I don't know. But
I mean, I'm sure if someone reached out and was like, "Hey, you want to come out and talk about stuff?" I'm sure he would. Like,
we'll holler at him for the next show.
There you go.
Christmas Day, or what's our next? Wait, what do we? Oh, it'd be
Christmas Eve.
Okay.
The 18th.
So this kind of gets into like, I mean, I directly asked Nat, like, is PSA building a marketplace? And he flat out said, no, they're not. Like, eBay is their selling platform. I feel like they're trying to thread this needle of
totally.
We're selling cards on our on our website, but we don't actually have a marketplace because you can't like list a card for sale unless it's on eBay. But there's this weird thing on the side of yeah, sure, people can buy cards, but you can't list a card for sale, so it's not technically a marketplace, even though it is kind of a marketplace.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
He was very like when I asked that question, he's like, no, absolutely not. Like, we're thrilled to be working with eBay. So I'm sure that there's some, they don't want to kind of cross the streams there.
Nah, it doesn't benefit him to say, like, yeah, we're going to grow this thing out and we're going to have a huge marketplace. It doesn't benefit him in any way to do that, especially where eBay stands currently.
Yeah. Now, if their relationship with eBay ever split, could they flick a couple switches and probably turn it into a marketplace? I'd be willing to bet that they could.
Yeah, but it is kind of a marketplace without calling it one. It's like what we just said. Like
I was joking with Simon earlier. I said it's a place. It's just not a marketplace.
Yeah, it's going to be just part of the system. It's going to be part of your.
I mean, it's the vault, and you can magically get offers.
Right.
And if you want to actually list the card for sale, you have to do it on eBay.
It'll be like, and you can auction it here too one day, but it's not a marketplace. Like it's not technically a marketplace, but you can do all the things that a marketplace does.
Yeah.
All right, Jim, where are you at? I don't know where you're at on the comments right now.
I'm only 4 minutes behind right here. The only issue I see is the timing. Are all orders going to sit? I was wondering this too. I think this is a really good point.
We didn't talk about it, but the way that I get is I think you're probably just going to have to be on top of when your grades pop.
Yeah.
Because there's usually like a day lag anyway. Like usually you get your grades and then the cards ship like the next day. It's been rare that I've gotten grades and shipping in the same day on a PSA order. It's almost usually the next day or sometimes even a second day.
And there's probably just going to be a button too that you push, kind of like when you have cards grading. It's like, do you want this to go to the vault or do you want it to ship it home?
Yeah.
Like, you want to see offers? Yes, no. And then if you do want to see offers, maybe they hold it for 72 hours or whatever. Kind of like what they don't immediately ship it or whatever. Yeah. Jim in Florida. So basically what I'm hearing is that card collecting is dead. All of these changes do nothing but encourage flipping. Just call it what it is, the biggest game of hot potato. I just think it gives you a ton of options. If you grade 20 cards and 15 of them are PC and 5 of them we're going to go to eBay anyway, then you have just options without having to ship it back out. Do all this like
on his comment, he's asking it or stating that card collecting is dead. No. Most of us don't collect anything brand new anyway. Half the stuff you're getting brand new is for resale to try to grade and do something with. I mean, everybody here, the people that I guess Neo, if he's interested in specific Marvel, you for Stranger Things. But I mean, most stuff I collect isn't new because all the new stuff, it's not on card. It's not game used. There's no fun for me. One of ones, why would I even keep that thing realistically? I don't need it. I can get the one that's to 5 and be just as happy, sell the other one and get 10 other things. So it's like, if you're dabbling in new stuff, yes, not for collecting right now. But that doesn't mean 10 years from now, you want to go back and find something. That's how the collecting part works. That's where the gene kicks in. We always state when you hit that late 30s, 40s, you start going backwards and collecting things. Whatever it was you were interested in becomes valuable over time and interesting. That's where collecting usually falls into place on every genre of collecting. So it's no different than anything else. You just got to approach it differently.
Fair enough, Ham. Steve, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, no, basically the comment you just pulled up is basically, in a nutshell, kind of what Ham said. Collecting is different for everybody. So,
yeah. Last time I saw Pete was showing off the Wilt, the SGC 10. That's a beautiful card, which ironically was crossed over to a PSA 10. Sure was.
Now, that's an SGC 10 to a PSA 10, which is...
Oh boy.
No, I'm just saying, if you really wanted to get technical, is the same company, right? So it's like...
I got to believe he knew he was getting a 10 before he switched that out. Because, you're not blindly sending that.
But...
I mean, they're not the same company, but...
I would love to see a grading card.
They have very same general interest, right? They're owned by the same thing. They're not the same company, but they're owned by the same parent company.
Yeah.
That's like saying Pepsi and Mountain Dew aren't the same company. That's like saying Pepsi's better than Mountain Dew or Mountain Dew's better than the other. It doesn't matter because all this money's going to the same corporation.
Yeah, they do have different grading standards, but I'm pretty sure wasn't PSA doing like on the high end stuff, they'll do like a review for you or something like that. Like, hey, bring us your high end and we'll do like a quick review or like
that's a national Nat Turner only thing.
Okay.
That's not like a service that they offer.
I feel like they might have done that.
I think something for this card, I think they would have. But didn't they originally state that they did that with SGC because it wasn't going to 10 originally in a PSA, so they went to the SGC?
I have no idea.
I don't remember the backstory on that card.
That's what I remember what they did, especially because that left side edge, which they're just kind of being like, because it's the best copy still, they gave it a 10, even though that edge is nowhere near a 10.
I mean, maybe they did blindly just, hey, here, send it in, and they didn't know. I mean, maybe. I guess it could have
sounds like a giant publicity stunt to me.
No, to me, a card that big that's in social media the way that it was, if it was just an everyday card, it really wouldn't matter. You could take an SGC 10, send it to PSA. It might get a 9, it might get an 8, it might get a 10, vice versa. PSA's SGC, it doesn't really matter. It's all human error and human opinion when you're judging a card. But a card that was in social media and was that popular and was scrutinized so much, basically it's a famous card. If PSA was to say this isn't a 10, that would damage the reputation of SGC, and they're not going to want to damage the reputation of something that's under the same umbrella as them, regardless if they're the same company or not. All the revenue is going to the same place.
It'd be bad business.
So even though they're different brands, it would be bad business, which in turn makes it conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I mean,
and that's what sucks about somebody like a PSA or any company owning two grading companies, because there's a competition within grading. Realistically, there is. So it's like, what are you doing realistic? That's why I still don't know if SGC will survive over time. I'm not saying next year after, but 5 years from now, do you need SGC?
Yes.
You do. I don't.
I don't need that.
I'm not sending a card to them whatsoever. If you're grading a card the majority of the time, 90% will be nice. It's because you're going to go with what's going to give you the most value if you think it's really going to grade a 10. Okay. After that, it's what you like. Okay. Which you can say you like HGA or Tag or whoever you want to send it to that you feel is a lesser company. We don't know in this market outside of what somebody spends on a card that can change the face of the market for a company that makes their card in that case go up. Because let's face it, they all do the same damn thing.
Yeah, if you listen to Nat though, and maybe it was just maybe he wasn't, he's BSing. I don't think he was, but he basically was talking about they picked up grading talent with SGC. SGC is known for very consistent. They're very, very good with pre-war and vintage cards. They're very popular. And he also said in that interview I caught too, where there's not tons of crossover, meaning, there's more people that grade with PSA for sure, but there's not lots of like basically people are very loyal to SGC grading.
Right.
Like they're not grading SGC
And that actually
PSA necessarily.
And that actually enforces my point, because if he said we hired SGC because of their strength and vintage or some of their talent, and then they take a card that big that would have been graded by one of their highest ranking graders, and then it goes to PSA and doesn't grade out as high as it did with SGC, now you're being a hypocrite to everything that you just said, because that talent that you just hired didn't grade up to the standards of your other company.
Correct.
Well, they have different grading standards. So you can
Yeah, I mean, they do have different grading standards. That's not like I get what you're saying.
But what are the standards? I've yet to still really see the standard played out. I mean, unless I open an old Beckett up that gave me at least a picture of a standard, nobody says they're standards because of the competition and they don't want to know what somebody else does. It's BS.
PSA
At
standards
the
are
end of the
publicly
day.
listed on their website.
Yeah.
Well, show it to me. I don't care what you write in a paragraph. That doesn't mean anything. Show me what you
Yeah,
talk.
but-
What does a perfect corner look like? Show it to me.
But apparently,
And that way I can go, here's what I got.
SGC is supposed to have higher standards when it comes to their gem mint because they have a 9.5 mint plus.
Hmm.
So a 9.5 mint plus, people have always said could be a PSA 10 just because it kind of falls between a 9 and a 10, and maybe PSA will bump it up. So this isn't the case of an SGC 9.5 mint plus being pushed up to a PSA 10. So if you're looking at differentials in the grading scale, again, this just enforces the point that I was just getting at. It was a SGC 10 that went into a PSA 10. If they would have made it a PSA 9, they would have been, well, damn, this isn't even making SGC 9.5.
Grading's just like an opinion, man.
It is.
I know, and that's why I said it's not going to be as effective on cards that we don't see that get sent in every day and graded over and over again. But this card was at the forefront of the hobby for a while. So you don't think it's going to have a lot of influence on what people see and think.
So Jimmer is saying it's hard to see the offers getting too big with people having to hold the cards in the vault. The stuff I sold with offers was from unpaid eBay auctions that got vaulted. That's interesting.
Well, offers are only in the vault right now. What Nat and I discussed yesterday is it will eventually go to the
It'll
second
broaden out.
The second your grades pop, you will have offers. You will not have to vault the card to see offers. That's just essentially the beta phase of it.
Which means it'll be for all of us, we'll be looking at not just eBay save searches, but we'll be on the PSA site looking for what just got graded or whatever, trying to get a good deal on something.
Well, I think that'll take even longer. I think essentially it's like going to phase. Like phase one is these 10 buyers that they have could submit offers to cards in the vault. Phase two will probably be, and this we did not talk about this. This is me speculating. Will be those same group of buyers being able to send offers to cards that just graded. It's not, and then I think we're probably talking like sometime, next year or later that it's like me and you can go on there and set up offers on cards.
Fair enough.
PSA definitely seems to do everything, and like it's okay. We'll trickle some out, and then we trickle the next thing out, and then keep adding on features. I mean, that's how they did it with eBay too. Like auctions went live, bin just went live today, and then I think he said in the interview that bin/best offer will be the last phase.
Stranger Things season 5 comes out next year, 2025. We don't know exactly when, but
October
2025. They're just wrapping filming like this month. So
didn't you just go to an event? Yeah, tell us about it.
Thanks for bringing it up. While I was in London, I took my 12-year-old to go to the first Shadow stage play. We had front row seats. I didn't realize actually that I bought front row, but basically it's based 1950s Hawkins. So it's like they're all in high school. Hopper, Joyce, Will Byers, the Byers brother, dad, Lance, I think is his name. So anyway, they're all in high school together. They're seniors, and what's the kid's name? Henry, that turns into Vecna. Spoiler alert. He's a freshman. So he's a freshman. They're seniors. And so it kind of tells that story and kind of how he becomes who he is. It was kind of funny. So I'm sitting in the front row, and animals are going missing, and they're being killed, and they're like, what the hell? Like, who is killing like these cats and these dogs and these animals and stuff? Well, it's Henry like practicing his little powers or whatever. But they come to the front of the stage, like me and my daughter are right here, watching them, and they're digging up, the cat, and there's dirt on the stage, and they throw it on me. They throw it to the front. They throw it in the front row and it goes all over me. And so she was laughing really hard. Everybody was like looking at me like, oh, but that was like part of the show was they threw dirt all over me.
Dirt on you.
Dirt. So yeah, that was special. So yeah, it was cool. It was really good. There's a couple of nuggets from that show that are not in the main series that are pretty big pieces of information that tell a little bit more of the story. So all right, we'll get off of Stranger Things, but yeah, it was really fun. England was really cool. I lived in England for 5 years when I was a kid. My dad was stationed there, so we went to a couple different parts of England that I had not been to before, so it was good, all good. Bazooka Tom, I wish SGC had a registry. I know a lot of people are in the same boat. Neo, what's your favorite CGC comic in your collection?
X-Men 1.
Yep. Okay. Jim in Florida.
What's up, Jordan?
Steve? Jim in Florida agrees with you. SGC, same company, same money. Ham getting scolded by vintage card collector. You need to read up on edges.
No, a clean edge is a clean edge. One with a bunch of fuzz on it is one with a bunch of fuzz on it.
Yeah, I said this in a video a few days ago. I hope that collectors buys Beckett. And I know it's like I understand all the stuff around that and the owner and ownership stuff and whatever, but I would like to see
more about the monopoly angle of it if they bought Beckett and they had SGC already. There was already regulatory.
They were playing again with the company that has
no, it's not a monopoly. They're competing against CGC.
Oh, hold on, leave that comment there.
And
Down here at 942, RCA Dune says, why is grading part of more than 50% of all hobby topics? You can't ask a question about grading and then say, why is grading more than part of all 50%?
Got him. Got him.
Because grading's about 95% of the hobby.
Right now it is, yep. Because we care what somebody else thinks about what we have and stating it's the best.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Rich. That was that was an episode I did, I think, last week? Yeah, the guy he's like telling the story. It was on the For Collectors channel.
Yep.
And basically his dad had Lou Gehrig's disease and ALS. And essentially that was why he was picking up Lou Gehrig cards. I thought I was going to break down watching. It was really, really good. I did a video on it anyway. Neo's going to buy Beckett, according to Professor Oak. We'll see how low the price goes. Maybe we can sell off some of our cards, pull some money together, and get Beckett underneath the off-centered umbrella.
How can Beckett have any value as much money as they owe to people?
Did Bitcoin hit 100K? Woo.
Not yet. It's close.
Yeah, my
according to Twitter,
portfolio is doing quite a bit better than cards here in 2024.
Oh, yeah. So is everybody else's.
Yeah. Crypto it was really funny when crypto kind of bottomed going back, a year or two ago. Everybody was in my comment section about how I bought Bitcoin and all this stuff. I don't hear them anymore. I don't see them. I don't hear them anymore.
$101,244 right now.
Jeez.
Per Bitcoin.
I'm about to jump off and retire, guys.
Per Bitcoin.
Love you guys. I love everybody, but I'm gonna have to. Woo!
It just shot up. It just shot up. Like just recently, all the coins just straight up.
See where we're at.
So y'all still holding your Doge coins?
Solana, it's funny. I bought Solana bottomed at like $20, and now it's at $235. It's crazy.
I still have I sold a bunch of my Doge because I got tired of waiting, and now if I look back at that price, it's ridiculous what I had it at. But I still have it really cheap versus what it is now. I think I have it at 11 cents, and it's at 43.
Nice.
That, and I bought Palantir back when it was $11. So just sitting on that and just watching that keep going up. There are other ways to invest, guys, if you're trying to really make money. Cards is not it right now.
Crypto is probably still in the speculation bucket, at least outside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you could probably lump into, whatever, like maybe outside of speculation mode. But, I mean, all the other coins, who knows?
I think Doge has too many similarities and relationships with Elon and now the Dodge or whatever going into the government. There's too much similarity for that one to really fall off. ETH isn't going anywhere.
Supposedly, again, this is kind of like I read about this, is the SEC chair is stepping down, and supposedly the guy that's taken over the SEC is pro crypto. So
He is
that's
pro
kind
crypto.
of the
He is pro crypto.
if he accepts the job and all that sort of thing. But
Too
again,
many
that's all.
rich people own Bitcoin. It's not going to fail because they won't let it. It's too involved now. It's too high of a level. Those people don't lose money. That's just not how it works.
There's a lot of big money participants in Bitcoin. Yes, the Michael Saylors of the world, and yeah, for sure, for sure. All right. Any comments that are sticking out to you guys?
Well, yeah. What is it?
Yeah.
Is it a Noni one, anonymous one, whatever?
Good job, Jordan.
He just says the cards are the worst investment to hold this year. But if they're the worst investment to hold this year, does that make them a good thing to buy?
Correct.
I don't know. Question mark.
Yeah, depending on what it is. Yeah.
I think we have a hard time in our hobby right now. Obviously, we had a massive manipulation during COVID. I still think we're trying to find the floor on a lot of things. We're really confused now on what you chase anymore. Like at this point, the Pro Debut patch is the new best card outside of Bowman First for somebody in a super. For some reason, you feel like you have the ability to obtain a debut patch easier than you do a superfractor now. I don't know why, but it does feel that way. It's just
what you're saying,
now to select somebody.
What you're saying, Ham, is the manipulation just switched over to new product.
Correct.
Oh, snap. Tomorrow's video. Title it up. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Because everything's popped. You have a ton of fake bounties. You know, they throw a bounty out that they know the card's worth more than that just to get the media stuff going, and the social media, or all the social media stuff moving. And then if somebody else wants to play the game, they're going to jump out too, knowing that they're not going to get hurt even if they paid that much money for it, because they probably already have somebody willing to pay more. It's smart. It's smart marketing. It really is, and it's cheap, super cheap marketing, and easy to do. So it's just interesting when you see these things come out. The problem is if something like that comes out and then it takes a long time for that card to ever find itself to the market, I think that's where it becomes a little more damaging over time. Because is that really going to be honored 8 months later? Because now it's like 5 other things have been pumped, 6, whatever it may be, or the new next set that they came out with some stupid new insert. You know, that's what they're doing right now. There's a market manipulation going on with it within itself. But it's the gambling aspect.
That's a whole nother. Well, I can make a whole series of videos. Oh, wait, I already have.
Oh, you already have.
Steve, what do you think about Southern Georgetown, Lewis area? Lewis?
Southern Delaware, Georgetown, Lewis area. Georgetown's a little more central. It's Southern Delaware, but it's a little more central. It's not on the coast. Between Georgetown and Lewis is probably really nice because you're not. Lewis is a beach town, so you're not right in the beach town, but you'd be a little bit west of it. A little bit north of Lewis. Lewis is awesome. If you go a little bit north to Milton, that's awesome. If you go a little bit further north to Milford, about 20 minutes north of Lewis, is awesome. That's actually where I live. But Milford, Milton, Lewis, if you go a little bit west into Georgetown, I would definitely choose Lewis over Georgetown, but Lewis is so. But it's all going to depend on what your property, what you're willing to pay for property, because Lewis is expensive. It's a beach town, so high price.
Neil would be best to answer this. Are we just in the wrong section of cards when we're talking about buying and selling and making money on cards? The bull Pokemon market, will it ever end?
A lot of that. I mean, yeah. I mean,
so is that singles along with the sealed product? I know a guy that's got like 7 figures of sealed product. Brian Carruthers. He told me about it at Shanty.
A lot of the stuff this weekend specifically was because of the TCG Player runs a big Black Friday weekend thing where you get 10% back on all your purchases. So it drove like a ton of business their way. And a lot of people use TCG for Pokemon and a lot of other TCGs, Magic the Gathering, especially Wax. Like everyone goes off of TCG Player, not eBay sold listings. It's weird. It's like a completely different thing. Like it could be selling for cheaper on eBay. Like a box will sell for 10 or 20 bucks cheaper on eBay than TCG Player. And when you go to shows, everyone quotes TCG Player. It's weird.
Yeah, the one thing I've noticed at all the shows, the Pokemon tables, there's more vendors, and they're always busy. And one of the things you can credit that to is there's a cap on technically. I mean, there's obviously ridiculously priced Pokemon if you start talking about, Shadow's Charizard's original stuff like that. But the majority of newer product, or let's say the last 5 years, how much product is worth over $1,200 in a tin? It's more affordable for somebody to get into something that they can enjoy, especially younger people that maybe just like a character versus anything. And they can go raw or graded. And it doesn't have to always be a 10. That's the one thing I noticed. They just want one in a slab sometimes. Obviously a 9, but it's still, I looked at a Snorlax in my last video and asked him how much it was. It was a 9. It was a shiny gold Snorlax. It just looked cool. But it was like $50.
Is that a Dr. Seuss character? Or is that the Lorax? My bad.
That's
Snorlax is a Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's like a big sleepy Pokemon.
Hey guys,
It's like
don't sleep on Dr. Seuss cards.
You haven't played Pokemon Go? Go play
Don't
Pokemon Go. That thing's huge.
Theodore Geisel.
I'm a grown man in my 40s. No, I've not played Pokemon Go.
Get your Theodore Geisel cards.
Now I know. Now we know what Ham does on the weekends.
I used to. That was a big deal for a while.
Rich asks, can that guy at the bottom left, who I think is Rob, tell us about his latest Pokemon case sales status? Did you sell a case or are you buying case? What is that?
No, I haven't sold any.
Yeah, Rob is trying to do his best Rudy Alpha Investments impression. He's going to hold it all.
Yeah, Neo hasn't sold a case of Pokemon since he sold that one to Logan Paul.
Rob, what?
Neo's making a killing restuffing Pokemon boxes.
How often does Pokemon not reprint a release? Only during anniversaries?
You mean like how far after, like when does the reprint window close, or what do you mean?
Yeah, because I mean I noticed only anytime they've done a release of a annual, like a, let's say 25th year, 30 or whatever it is, they can't really reprint that because it's really locked into a certain year. Where like any of the ones that are out now, they can reprint for what, like up to 5 years, 3 to 5 years. Is that the window?
I forget the exact timing window on it. It's a couple of years that they could potentially reprint, but they're a super smart company. They're very particular on how they reprint stuff and how much they reprint.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know, like we can't crash the market on this stuff. Like, well, even if they do a reprint, it's not usually enough to tank the price.
So
the other thing that happens too is distribution doesn't let the prices tank anyway. So like they're gonna reprint Surging Sparks, which initially sold for $90 a box to shops, $90 or $95 a box. I think I paid $100 for mine, and they're $200 and some a box now. When they reprint that, distribution will sell it to the shops for like $160.
Yeah,
so basically,
so there's like a floor price because distro is going to play games with the pricing.
Yeah, so the amount that's actually printed, there's going to be it's basically Pokemon Company is the modern day Pro Set. So they've printed like a zillion. It's 89 Pro Set. They printed it to absolute hell. But the difference is that basically they're just holding back 1 billion cases of Pro Set in a warehouse, and they're not selling it. So it gives the like idea that this stuff is like, oh my God, like there's low supply. There's low supply out there. One day all that shit's going to come out of the warehouse. It's coming.
There's still warehouses full of 92 Don Russ baseball.
It's coming, man.
And Pro Set.
And
every now and then you'll find a fresh box at like one of the.
There's also way more
people that never dries up.
Never collect 89
like one of the cast off department stores, like a Big Lots or something. Every once in a while you walk in there and be like, oh look, it's 90 Don Russ.
Now, Rob, if you're gonna plan the market, I know One Piece took off pretty well. I think Dragon Ball
made the mistake of too heavily printing later sets and then killed their market, and now they're trying to fight back against that.
Yeah, just because and then what about with Lorcana? Because I know the Enchanteds are the main thing.
Lorcana did the same thing. They short printed set 1, everyone went crazy, and then they overprinted subsequent sets and did too big of a reprint on set 1, pissed everybody off. And now, set 1 is okay, but the new sets are just kind of whatever.
Jeff Wilson's holding 50% of that print run.
What's that?
Jeff Wilson's holding 50% of that Lorcana print run.
I thought Jeff had all the MetaZoo.
No, he was all about Lorcana. Yeah, but he MetaZoo. I like
Yeah,
this.
I haven't seen one MetaZoo card in a case, and I'm looking at every case.
Jim Arrange with the shots fired at Bitcoin here. Been in a coma for 20 years. I wonder how my mortgage-backed securities I loaded up on an 04 are doing. I know they couldn't have failed. Those people don't lose money, like what you were saying, Ham, about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Oh, shots fired.
They all moved it to Bitcoin.
Yeah, we have Satoshi in the chat. The dude in chat who bought Bitcoin in 07 before it was even launched. So we got Satoshi in the chat. We finally figured out who it is.
Satoshi. There's actually, I watched a documentary on this that explained who Satoshi really is, because the person's name's not Satoshi.
I saw the documentary too.
Yeah.
Well, I saw one of them. There's
one that came out probably about anywhere 3 to 4 months ago. That because they went through the paperwork and stuff and actually found the creator of the coin.
Is it a couple of is it like the two nerdy white guys that they're interviewing and they're both talking and they're like,
it's not that one, but I have seen that one.
Yeah, that one. I don't know.
It's a single person that did a documentary on it himself and had some stuff that I had never seen before that he went back and forth with. I'll try and find it and send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me, Ham. Yeah. What is one thing that everyone is looking forward to in 2025? Let's keep it hobby related.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'll say just in general, no deaths in the family. How about that? We've had 3 this year.
That's not hobby related.
That's hobby related. What the
I just said. Now we'll go to the hobby stuff. That was just my personal.
I think that's generally every person's thing for the
everybody. You could do one of each. You could do one of life and one of hobby related.
All right, so I got my life one out. You guys go ahead.
Come on! You don't have something cool coming up, like a trip to Mexico or something?
Well, that's
a personal for us.
You didn't go to a Mexican card shop?
I thought you booked that for us. So were we having a guy's Mexico trip?
That would be fun. We should do that.
I mentioned it in IG chat.
Let's go to Cancun. Yeah, let's do it. We're all East Coast. Let's go to Cancun.
Cancun's not really Mexico.
It's a beautiful place.
Ham wants to go to Tijuana.
We'll do the all.
I like Tijuana.
Although I will say, yeah, depending on what happens with the whole, I don't know. Anyway, we can talk about that offline.
All right, offline.
It's election related, so we might be going. Maybe we should go to Jamaica instead. Why would you buy sealed product? Did everyone just pretend that CD scanning doesn't exist? Jim in Florida coming in hot. I just watched a video where Jeff Wilson said that is not a big deal. He just reiterated that CT scanning is not a big deal. We're going to react to it tomorrow morning. Be around at about 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll have that out.
It's only for specific product anyway.
When's the next card shows we are all hitting up? I'm not far from the Research Triangle. Okay, Rich. Yeah. I'm going to be so December 13th. So what? Not this weekend, but next weekend, there's a 500 table show at Raleigh Fairgrounds. I'll be there.
Oh, really? Is that the one that I've been to before in Raleigh?
It's in the bigger building. It's in the bigger building.
Okay.
You've been to the Steve Kerr building, but this one is a little. It's in a really.
I've been twice, but it's in the same building both times.
Yeah, this one's a bigger one.
Okay. Yeah, I have this weekend. I have a show at the Tampa Fairgrounds, which we don't usually have. It's going to have a lot of the same guys I see, but I'm curious to what. It's supposed to be 300 or 400 tables. So I'm curious to see what this is going to be because we have very little information about it. But have that, and then we have a show before Christmas, and then we have a show right after Christmas here. So the usual.
I'm the national for sure, but what I'm saying is,
he's going back to the original question that we got pushed when we went to the next comment.
Oh yeah, it was the same question from the same person, though. I thought. Well, Dustin was talking about Raleigh.
Yeah.
Dustin was talking about going to a Raleigh.
Talk about what our next card show is.
Okay, so yeah, for everybody. Yeah, which card show?
It is a dealer show as well.
We never finished the last question. Dustin's already moving on.
I know. Dustin took the what are you looking forward to in 2025? He answered it and skipped us.
He
answered it and skipped us.
We're on a rapid pace. All right, guys, what are you looking forward to in 2025? Ham?
Now we're going back 3 questions.
Fanatic. That's Fanatics event.
No hurricanes. No hurricanes.
No hurricanes. I'm over hurricanes. I'm getting ready to go out and start taking them out myself.
Is there any chance for New York to get a hurricane in June?
There's always a possibility. There would just be a snowstorm.
I don't think so.
Yeah, probably.
Y'all's low pressures up there just turn into snowstorms.
So wait, what question are we on right now? You got us all confused.
You're looking forward to 2025. What do you?
The Magic Marvel collab.
Oh, okay. That's a product,
Oh,
right?
is that? Oh, okay.
Upper Deck DC.
I have an interview. I have an interview with
Stranger
them next week.
Things tops Chrome, supposedly. What about you, Steve?
As far as card sets go, I always look forward to the new Allen and Ginter set just to see what kind of cool, different types of autos are going to have in there. The Nationals in 2025. That's the only show that I can guarantee and pretty much that I'm going to. I'm going to be in New York City next week, so I'm going to try to look up some card shops just to check out. And I want to attempt a Philly show, but it won't be in December. I do want to do a Philly or a Chantilly show, but it won't be the December one coming up. It'll probably be
I will be at Philly.
No, I can't. I can't. And then I'm traveling to South America in May, end of April, early May. So I'll probably be looking for some card shops there, just like I did when I was in Europe. Like when I did when I was in Europe.
Panini One again?
What's that?
Are you going to buy Panini One again?
No, but I'll live stream from there.
Ladies of the night.
Hooker?
Some more ladies of the
I'm
night.
not going to be in Brazil. I'm going to be in Peru.
Oh, nice.
Peruvian one, whatever.
I'm going to
the
Lima,
Machu Picchu.
I'm going to Machu Picchu while I'm in Cusco. Yes.
Yeah, that's on the bucket list.
And I'm going to see if they have any kind of like hobby lifeblood over there, just to see how it works. When I was in Budapest, it was surprising because the card shop that I found was big, and they were like one of the main breakers out of Europe. To find them in Budapest, as opposed to what you would think would be like a bigger, more, popular European country, was crazy. So I thought I was going to walk into that shop. So you never know what you might find. And I'm going to guess that soccer would be probably their most popular sport. So
Montana in February 11th. I can't imagine that's a jam-packed show.
50 tablespoons.
Freezing.
Yeah. So I heard there's rumor that Steve, there's rumor that Pearl Jam's coming to Raleigh next year.
Oh, really?
So Metallica's coming to Charlotte and to Richmond.
Richmond.
Well,
yes.
no. They're going to go, Virginia Tech Stadium. So basically in that general.
Yeah.
So I got those to go to. And then Pearl Jam, if they come if they come to Raleigh, yeah, obviously, but that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'd like to see Metallica this summer. That's a band that I've never seen. I've seen,
they're still killing it too.
Yeah, so I always try to, and since we were touching on 2025, every year I try to go see a couple music concerts. We'll see what happens with that.
What happens in Prague? You'll always have Prague, Steve.
We'll always have Prague.
That
we'll always have
go down in history.
One life. We'll always have the Cleveland National. Oh, and like I told you, Neo, last week or last live stream, I still plan on coming to Cleveland. But my wife and I usually travel out of the country at the end of the year, like we did this year, like August, September, things like that. But we want to do it at the beginning of the year this year. So our trip that we take usually within the States will be at the end of the year. So it'll be smaller because it's easier to travel closer to myself where I live in that part of the year because it's warm. So if I want to go to Cleveland or something, it would be better to go in like August or September as opposed to like April weather-wise. So, and this year we were in Europe for most of August. So it was like our pool, we got home and we're like, I don't even feel like we used the pool this summer. We were closing it up and I was like, man, we missed the whole entire like last month of summer. So we scheduled it differently this year.
Rob, you gonna do any Prism football when it comes out? And what?
I bought some retail.
Prism football?
Yeah.
Did you order any retail yet, Ham? Are you going to, or
maybe I might get in some breaks because I'm Bucky for the Buccaneers is fun to try to grab something of.
There's
for some reason
a bunch of retail up for pre-order already at retail prices.
I'm just to the point where now is like, do I feel like I just want to buy singles versus try and rip into something?
I just got a couple megas because I could either rip it or flip it depending on whatever.
Did the megas come with autos?
I didn't look that close.
Because like the megas for Bowman Chrome U for football, for that newer product.
I doubt they would for Prism football because it's too heavily printed.
I just didn't know because since when they stopped containing all the main rookies in it, it seemed like they kind of went back to that format again because half the guys in there are cheap to put
Three
in it.
silver prisms per mega. Green
Any-
pulsars.
Are autos even available? So I know they've done
I
that.
don't have full box odds on this.
Okay. I know they've done that before too, where they just said no autos even in megas. Everything's just colored parallels, which is just changing.
Prism retail boxes are in stock. Value packs, optic retail boxes, optic blaster boxes, optic megas, and prism megas.
Is the optic checklist out for the downtown jet?
I doubt it. It doesn't. This stuff doesn't even ship until like March or April.
Oh.
Kenny G in the chat says he set up at his first show and did well selling, and also traded for a nice Josh Allen card. So,
did you play the flute?
That's cool. It's the sax, right?
Why did the junk wax boom happen? Rich asks. So part of it was like the generational, like the kids of the collectors becoming of age, but then also I think a big catalyst for that time period was Beckett football, basketball, and hockey coming out, because they had baseball, but then when he came out with all the other price guides, it definitely changed the game for sure.
Now, do you think he's talking about the junk wax boom?
No, he's talking about the movement
or a rekindling of the junk wax stuff over, during the pandemic and stuff.
I'm not sure.
The way I'm reading it is he's basically, why did the junk wax boom happen in the late 80s, early 90s?
Right.
He goes, because of the boom of the mid 80s rookies that came out in baseball. And that's when everything started really propelling the market very quickly. And that stuff, they saw an opportunity because that was, when's the Anaheim show that everybody talks about, the National? Was it like 91 or 91? Okay. The amount of people that, just like COVID, just went back into the hobby. There was money to be made. And then these card companies, which there were a lot of, just started just hitting the hammer because there was no inserts or parallels outside of a stupid sticker for the most part. Maybe
PSA was born out of that time, 91.
Correct. So I mean that was like a new beginning that created a huge rise. A whole bunch of crap got printed because everybody was competing.
Yeah.
People were buying it. Don West is selling it. It's like you just have this everything in the right times going on, and then they don't get out fast enough.
I blame Greg Jeffries. It's Greg Jeffries' fault.
It's Don Mattingly's fault to begin with.
Yeah, Don Mattingly's card was all the way back in '84.
That was the first time people were chasing a rookie card at high value out of a pack in that modern time. That's what caused the rookie card craze to really go nuts.
But I feel like the Don Mattingly chase started long after '84. Like I thought it was like maybe 4 years later, people were then going back and saying, "Oh, I need this Mattingly card." Where I feel like Greg Jeffries was like in the moment. Ken Griffey Jr. there was in the moment. Shaq in '92 was in the moment. You had some really big, prolific names that were actually living up to their hype, carrying the hobby, like we saw not long ago, which generates interest, which generates buzz. Social media wasn't big back then. But the name Ken Griffey Jr. became household. The name Shaquille O'Neal became household. And not just people in sports were now wanting the cards of these players. They were like, there was people in all walks of life wanting cards of these players, just like we've seen recently.
The thing with Don Mattingly.
Football draft classes, too, were wicked in the late 80s. Early,
like just look at the
89, 90.
And if you lived that 92 era, if you lived that 92 year with Shaquille O'Neal, it was like, could you imagine if we had social media back then the way we do now?
Oh, that'd been crazy.
He was the biggest thing on the planet at the time. And this is a time when Michael Jordan was still dominating the league. Yep. And Shaq at the moment was the biggest thing on the planet, making movies and commercials and rap albums. And whether they were good or not, whether his movies were, he's like Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah, I like Shaq.
His movies might not be good, but
yeah, no. The thing with the Mattingly was he was Yankee.
Lived in
he was the number one prospect, can't miss coming up, and he performed immediately. So that's what really just kind of blew everything off the walls when it came down to, was it 84 tops, I believe, and then after that they started XRCs and crap like that.
But like in baseball, like he specifically mentioned like 1989. So 89 would have been the Griffey chase year, right? Mm-hmm. In baseball. And then the Mets World Series team, or that Mets team was sweeping the nation, and you had this kid, Greg Jeffries, on the scene out of nowhere, becoming a superstar. Didn't have much longevity to his superstardom. I mean, he was a good baseball player for a while, but I mean, it was just something that captured the nation for a short period of time.
Rich, watch this right here. Everybody hold for a second. Watch this. Cardboard
Not
Dreams.
just for the sport,
on
it's for
YouTube.
collection as well.
Watch
Investment,
this.
but it's more for because I love the sport. You know, it's not just for investments. Adults do it somewhat as an investment, as a collection too. What do you think?
I think also the kids now can relate more to the Griffeys and the people nowadays than they can to the older stars. And I think those will be their Babe Ruths of the future. You know, that's why
Did you
they're
say
putting
Griffey?
money into that now.
I prefer Neuro cards so I can get the players that I like to watch on.
So this is from 1990. So yeah, that gives you kind of an idea of what, you know, what's what. But basically, he's going around to card shows in 1990, interviewing all of them. So yeah, it's 30 minutes long. Watch that; it's really good.
I mean, a lot of times, like if you look, if there is somebody that is really believed to be a generational talent, not just the next superstar, but a generational talent, it'll create a buzz around the hobby, which trickles in from all over. I mean, we saw it with LeBron James.
We saw it with Zion.
We saw it with. I was going to say we saw it with Zion. Now, Zion was a part of the pandemic, but you know, he was a big catalyst that hit. You know, the hype around him was a huge catalyst.
Yep. To MW's comment, who's asked a couple of times, no, Nat Turner did not decertify it. He's not going to. Don't worry about the card cleaning thing. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, well, Nat Turner specifically said that they're not for card cleaning. They're trying to.
Yeah,
stop
but because of the comment that the guy made, thank you to Kurt's Card Care when they submitted the card to get graded, and they graded it a 10, which is awfully off center, so it should have been a 9 anyway. But stating that it was basically cleaned by Kurt's Card Care and then got graded by PSA, and PSA has not decertified that with that comment leading to that assumption. That's what people are poking the bear about. Too much money. Don't care. They move along.
Jim in Florida says how much money you think was lost on Zion. I mean, you could actually scratch out Zion's name.
Million.
You could scratch out Zion's name and do fill in the blank.
Yeah, it's a lot.
No, millions.
Fill in the blank.
I'm
talking about for the last.
Used to be like $3,500. What is it now?
I'm talking about for the last 75 years, Ham, not just 2020. For the last 75 years, you can fill in the blank.
I still think
every
Zion
year there's players that people
difference.
Prospect and invest in.
But think about it. But think about it. Zion was during the pandemic. The pandemic was the highest cards have ever been. So for percent wise, he is probably the most loss of any player ever.
Yeah, but the value of the dollar is relative to the time era that you're living in.
Everything's
more expensive now. Everything's more expensive now, but everything back then was cheaper, but it didn't seem cheap back then, right? It seemed expensive still.
But here's the thing, is like there's more cards made now. It's just percent wise, more has been lost on Zion than I think any other player in history.
You think so?
I do.
Yeah, it's not even close.
You think it's Zion?
Yeah.
Because of the
the number of cards and the money.
What was going on? Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, I don't
rating and stuff.
Well,
it's crazy.
The number of isn't he top 10 for most graded athlete? He's top 10. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
You think he is?
It's not even close. Like I get the Wander art. It's not even close to Wander. Wander doesn't have anywhere near the cards on the pop report that Zion has.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The most expensive Wander card is still like way cheaper than the most expensive Zion cards.
Yeah.
Like a Zion NT RPA out of 99 probably sold for more than what like a Wander Superfractor went for.
Yeah. And they're just dirt right now. I mean, he might be comeback player of the year next year, but how low do you want to buy?
What was the peak?
Wander won't be Zion.
Wander's going to be great in the Mexican League.
Let's talk about a more, but let's talk about a more common card because that's more relatable as opposed to like a National Treasures RPA that's a limited. How about just a silver prism? And at what point
silver prisms were like $6,000 at one point?
Yeah, what was a Luca silver prism at?
Luca was like $6,000. I think Zion.
Yeah, they got up to 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 7-8
Yeah.
tops.
So take it to a card that's heavily traded. It's too hard to say this is how much was
But
lost
isn't a
on
Luca
these
Silver still
others.
over $1,000 or right around $1,000?
They're like right
I don't know
around
what
a
the-
grand, 1,100,
right around
1,200.
But like I said, a Zion's like $200.
Yeah, what's a Zion Silver at now?
Yeah,
I don't
Zion
know.
Silver's like 250 now.
Yeah.
250.
Probably a lot more Zion Silvers than Lucas were printed.
So you're
out.
talking about
Also.
this, same loss then, right? If a Zion would peaked at like 4K and it's 250, I mean, just say it's a $4,000 loss. Say it's worth 0, and a Luca peaked at 7 or 8, and now it's at 12. Now you're looking at a $7,000 loss.
I mean, Luca's is up there too. The only difference is Luca's retained value, where Zion is pretty much just still circling the drain.
He's retained his value, but he's down $7,000.
Comparably, yes.
He's retained desirability.
So 2,300
Value and desirability are two different things.
Rob, you looking
It's
it up?
still good.
Yeah, I'm just actually getting real numbers.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see
I
the.
still think Zion's the number one loss, though.
Yeah, Zion bases were like 600 at least, probably. Chris Hayes says, "Yeah, I'm gonna guess."
I only know that because I got a 2-row here. One side's all jaw, and one's Zion, and I took it to the show, and people are like, "I'll buy all the jaw, but I won't buy the Zion." Nobody wants to touch the Zion.
Roughly speaking, and this is not.
There's less Zion 10s than Lucas. That's wild. I didn't realize that. Okay, so there's 1,800 Silver Prism Zion rookie PSA 10s, and they're at $250. And there's 2,300 Luca 10s, and they're at like $1,100-1,200. That's interesting. I thought for sure there'd be more Zion 10s at this point. I haven't looked that up.
And right now, after doing the math that we just did, if it's accurate, to be fair,
Zion Silver peaked at 6.3K, but that's like one sale.
Yeah, one sale. That was
actually there was 10 sales that day. That's the average of 10 sales on that day were 6.3K.
So then a Luca had to peak at 10. If we're looking at absolute peaks,
9.3 is the all time for Luca.
I'm sorry, I was $700 off. My bad. And Ham's frozen.
Luca currently goes for 250, or Lucas currently goes for 950. Zion currently goes for 250.
Ham looks like Han Solo in the krypton or the carbonite stuff. Carbonite.
So if we're just applying it to those two players and applying it to their Prism Silvers, I would say the loss on Luca would be bigger.
I think percentage wise, it's still actually Zion.
You better check these percentages.
Steve killed Ham with that.
Yeah, you better check. You better check them percentages, Neo. I work in a casino, man. I know numbers.
Luca's down a lot.
Yes, they both are down a lot. They both are down a lot, but like if the peak of one of them was higher than the peak of the other, and that peak is higher than their separation now, which is $700, right? $950 for a Luca, $250 for a Zion. That's a $700 difference right now. So if their peak was, if Luca peaked for more than $700, then Zion peaked for.
A Luca Silver is only.
Then it's just common sense that Luca suffered a bigger loss when it comes to dollars.
What she said?
They're only $950 now. Good Lord.
I'm disconnected. Oh, he's frozen.
Shit, I'm about to buy a Luca Silver 10 again. My God.
You didn't learn your lesson the first time?
I mean, I didn't sell it for $950. I lost a few $100, but it wasn't too crazy. $950 is where the hell is Ham?
He said he froze.
Yeah, but he didn't come back. He's not in the background.
Rich has got a spinning wheel. What's that?
Yeah, we are. So it is almost time to launch off, guys. Ham's, look, the internet's down there. Hopefully it's not a serial killer that cut the cable, cut the internet cord and the lights.
Do they have another hurricane?
His internet's resetting.
Okay. It's that dial-up. Put the AOL floppy disk back in, Ham. Okay, good. It's not a serial killer. That's good.
You notice that Ham has had that picture of him holding that fish as his avatar like forever. It's like he
The only
hasn't
fish he
caught
ever
fish.
caught.
Yeah, right. And that's probably Photoshop.
Do we even know that that's a live fish, or was that
No,
like a mounted fish?
The
that
guy
he-
driving the boat caught it, and Ham was like, "Oh, let me hold it." I've been fishing with Ham, man. I know.
Oh God.
He was like, "I need a picture for my YouTube avatar. It has fishing and sports cards in it. I need we can hold that real quick."
CGI fish. All right, Ham. Well, I'm going to end the stream before you end up coming back on, most likely.
I don't know what. Oh,
All right, boys. I think that this is a sign that we need to shut this thing down. We're an hour 21 in.
oh man, we're closing down on Ham.
Rich, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, Hambone, just in the group text. We'll get back at you in the group text. Thanks everybody for coming on, and we will see you in 2 weeks on December 18th. I will be fresh off the Raleigh show that previous weekend, and we can.
I'll be semi-fresh off the Philly show.
Okay, there you go. Neo's going to Philly.
So that's the 17th is Tuesday because I'm having a Christmas party at my house on Tuesday the 17th.
Okay, so Steve's gonna be hungover on that Wednesday.
No, I'm never hungover. I don't drink to the point where I get hungover.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do a hot tub live stream off center.
Hot tub.
Steve will be in his hot tub. I'll be in my hot tub. Ham will just be in a hurricane, and then Neo will still be in the basement watching a Cavs game.
Cavs weren't on tonight. I actually had to pay attention to the live stream. It was kind of terrible.
He had to actually chip in on the conversation.
Yeah, I had to like talk and stuff.
We had a lively chat. This was good. Thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for stopping in, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
I like feeding off the chat like that.
See you next time.
Later.